Hey everybody, today I want to share with you the inspiring story of a sanitation worker who ended up getting accepted into Harvard Law School. He got up at 4 a.m. and he took out trash. He was the person who collected garbage, and his coworkers supported him, and they were the first people to give him a positive environment, and he ended up eventually getting into Harvard Law School. I'm going to break down this story, and hopefully it's inspiring to you. I know there's um, a portion of my viewers who are students and want to get better at school, so it's just really inspiring to see these stories. And I really think that if you search out stories like this, it will really start to change your beliefs, to stop thinking, oh, this is not possible, to stop beating yourself up or shooting yourself in the foot, and actually start taking action. Another great book, I think they just made a Netflix film off of it, which I heard the ratings weren't so good, but the book was good. It was called Hillbilly Elegy, and it's about a similar person who ended up getting into a prestigious Ivy League law school as well, even though he came from a very toxic, dysfunctional Southern family that was uneducated. I read his book, and he really had that one figure that believed in him always and really made it through, which was his grandma. But today we're going to be talking about someone else, and it's going to be pretty inspiring. So what's his name? What exactly happened? Well, the story starts with two brothers, Rehan Staton, and essentially he grew up with a not perfect family, very low income, and his mother left his father and moved out of the country when he was just 8 years old. And his father had to work multiple jobs to provide for Rehan and his older brother, Reggie. And so times were sometimes really bad. They were sometimes out of electricity, or they didn't have food in the fridge. And these issues affected his time in school. His grades were pretty bad, and they fluctuated all the way through high school. He put his energy into martial arts, winning national and international competitions until he suffered a rotator cuff tear his junior year. And because he didn't have health insurance, those injuries derailed his boxing career. At the time, he thought that sports would be his way out of poverty. And he got support from his family members, his brother and father. And if it wasn't for those two, it would have been impossible. I just want to halt right there to just give my quick commentary on grades. It just goes to show you that, your high school doesn't necessarily lead on to the rest of your life. A lot of people think, they assume that if you do well in high school, you're guaranteed to do well later in life. If you don't, you're guaranteed to do worse. That's not the case. You see, sure, there's some level of correlation in certain ways depending on the career path you end up going on, but it doesn't necessarily mean gloom and doom if you're struggling now. In fact, I read a book by David Rubenstein, billionaire, and he spent a large portion of the beginning talking about the different phases of life and how so many people who do so well in the first third of their life fail to do well in the later thirds. And he started to speculate as to why. Or maybe they burn out. Maybe they put too much energy into it. I think it's more so, personally, from my study of it, it's just different things. That's a phase in life where you really have to hack or win at the school system game, the rules that the school system gives, which can be different from business or life or career. Sometimes they do translate. I mean, you get all those people who do well in school who also do well in the corporate world or become doctors and engineers. But there's others who translate their work into creative elements like acting, singing, writing, directing, pretty much a variety of things. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're screwed. Let's just continue. Staton's poor grades meant that he was denied by every college he applied to. So he took a job collecting trash and cleaning dumpsters, where most of his colleagues were incarcerated. Rather than add to his despair, this job marked a turning point. His coworkers uplifted him and urged him to go back to school, which led to a meeting with one of the owners, Brent Bates, who helped him enroll in Bowie State University. That's another really, really cool part of it. It's so cool to see what you can really do when people around you uplift you. And it's so inspiring to see that although he was in a tough situation, his colleagues were in a tough situation financially, maybe in their personal life as well, they still chose that positive attitude to uplift others. And that's something that even I can learn from, everyone can learn from, because so many times we hear the phrase, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. And sometimes that spurs people to get too picky with who their friends are. Or it turns them into these people who just think, oh, I'll never really have that positive environment because I don't have millionaire friends who I can surround myself with. And that's not the right approach. You see, as shown in this story, positivity can come from any channel, any background, and it's an attitude, it's a choice, and these people uplifted him. So that was great as well. So what happened next? It was the first time in his life, outside of his family, where other people came around and supported him. They told him he was intelligent. They uplifted and empowered him, and he believed the hype, and he was ready to go to school. He attended Bowie State, and then at 27, he saw the promise of his brother and made the sacrifice of dropping out so that Rehan could attend and Reggie could help his father. So it was a collaborative effort, and based on this story, I don't know all the details. Maybe the press got it wrong, so I don't always trust the press, but I think it's pretty legitimate here. So Rehan, he went up and he achieved a 4.0 grade point average and then transferred to the University of Maryland. Of course, the story has blown up. He's been on everything from the Today Show to many other areas, and he was even chosen to speak as a commencement speaker when he graduated. Okay, so what did Rehan have to say? He said, I actually just had a support system the second time around. In high school, I didn't have the support, and when I got to undergrad, I had teachers, other students, leaders. Holistically, I just couldn't fail at that point. Too much support. So just think about that. So many people, we go through university and we have that support and we take it for granted. For him, he didn't take it for granted. He didn't have that support system as a kid in high school. So when he saw the teachers, the students, that infrastructure, it really helped propel him. So it really seemed like Rehan was kind of like the star child or the guy who really had the potential, and the family saw that and they sacrificed to make that happen. And so, this another case of how, a tough situation happened and they made the most of it. Staton's father suffered a stroke in 2017, prompting him to return to work at Bates Trucking and Trash with his brother so they could save their home. They would start work at 4 a.m. so he could get a shift in before class. I mean, talk about the hard work there. Clearly, they definitely had these hard times, but if you have the right attitude, the right perspective, you can see these as opportunities rather than setbacks. The person who has that, they're going to develop a really strong work ethic. Those who are born into more luxury, that's a setback at times. I was studying this one billionaire, I can't remember his name, and he kept telling his child, I grew up poor, and that was an advantage. And his children said, don't you mean disadvantage? And he's like, no, advantage. And now you can start to see what he means. These struggles, these tougher times, they build the willpower, the work ethic necessary to succeed in later life. Whereas Oftentimes people get soft because they were never forced, or they never even put themselves in those situations to develop that. Following graduation, he worked full-time with Robert Bob Group, a political consulting firm in DC, while studying for his LSAT. So, he got good grades, graduated with honors, with a degree in history, commencement speaker, got a job in DC, clearly very into politics. And then he scored 80th percentile on the test. So this guy, he had it there. It was there in his head. He had, from what I could tell, he had that intelligence. But what was lacking was the support system, his own belief, and life circumstances getting in his way. The student who got denied by every school he applied to in high school was accepted by law schools at Harvard, UPenn, and so forth. And it seems like he set up a GoFundMe page to help pay for the law school expenses, which were in the six figures. So, incredible story, which he also marketed well, or it just blew up on its own, which led to the world coming together and paying for his law school expenses. So really, really incredible story. I know, sure, there's going to be doubters, there's going to be haters, there's going to be skeptics out there. That's inevitable, but that's not how you're going to succeed. You got to stay positive. And, sometimes no matter what you tell some of these skeptics, they're never going to change. Let's not worry about them. I know a lot of you people are positive and you are interested and inspired by the story. I want you to just kind of to nail the doubt out of your head. Sure, you might have doubts like, oh, but this guy clearly, he was smart underneath. He had all these things, but like, I'm not that smart. Even if I had the support system, I just don't have the skill, the IQ to get an 80th percentile on the LSAT or get 4.0s. Does that mean I'm screwed? Does that mean I don't try? Or whatever other doubt you have. And here's the thing, chances are you have more potential than you think. There's a lot of, depending on the discipline, there's so many opportunities out there that are just maybe a bit hard to see because you're so rooted in this IQ belief. And sure, maybe certain fields like law school or med school may require that IQ level, but where do you fit in where that doesn't matter and you can still live the life of your dreams? To be paid a lot, to enjoy what you do, to be happy. I think that's definitely possible in various business, creative, marketing, design, tons of fields. There's plenty of people in these fields, and this is a huge thing that a lot of entrepreneurs say. They say they're not that smart. They were average in school. They did average in grades. And you look at Grant Cardone, like he himself has admitted he's not like, he was never some super genius in school. He did okay. And when you look at these people, Gary Vaynerchuk, they're not geniuses. I mean, Logan Paul, do you see him as some IQ genius? And yet he's made millions off social media as a social media influencer. So don't let these things beat you up. You need to start seeing and cross-referencing real world experience to help inspire you. And sure, doubters might say that's survivorship bias. That guy succeeded doing all that, but maybe there's 99 others who failed doing the same thing. Maybe or maybe not. Why don't you go and investigate? Maybe once you investigate, you realize, okay, there's a 50-50 fail success rate, not a 99-1. Or maybe you realize, okay, it may be a little harder than I thought, and maybe it's not that easy, but there's something I can do in this moment to at least put myself on that better level. Maybe that's watching a video by me, which you can use to tweak your productivity, your grades, your studying habits, which I've had plenty of videos on. And all of a sudden, every test, every homework assignment you turn in is 2 points higher, 5 points higher, whatever it is. And that starts to build like a snowball. Every little thing you do to optimize can lead to exponential results down the road. Think about what that leads to 10, 20, 30 years down the line. Oftentimes, it's a lot. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this inspiring, and definitely check out some more. I definitely did not tell you the whole story. There's definitely more details involved, but definitely very inspiring stuff.